Hey guys, back with another video. This that I've been meaning to record for a while. This plane is actually really great. So I'm on here for 22 hours with nothing to do, so I may as well record some videos. We're going to go over 21 lessons, rules, or pieces of advice from my own life. Some of them are kind of self-explanatory. Others I will kind of go into and explain a little bit more. So, number one, you are a product of your habits, routines, and mindset. This is, I think, quite obvious, but you will run into a lot of limitations I find to be based on mindset. If you don't think it's possible, there's no way it's going to be achieved. But if you see someone else do it, instantly it becomes within the realm of possibility for you. What you spend your time doing every single day is basically who you are. So your habits and routines, you should be very conscious and aware of, both the good ones and the bad ones. And I use a Notion system in order to train my mindset every day. I read a document. I've done a video on this before of like my best thinking that I've collected over the years from different books, YouTube videos, podcasts, and it's kind of inspiration and wisdom and ways that I would like to live my life. And so I try to program my mind with that information every day. Number two, to achieve your goals, you must take action and make things happen rather than waiting for them to simply unfold in your favor. So again, I think this is so true. I think life is just very self-explanatory. Life is all about action. Nothing is ever going to happen without, regardless of how much you believe in the law of attraction. I do believe in like the power of kind of positive thinking, but I think it needs to be backed up by consistent action to take you towards your goals. To develop yourself, always raise your standards. What is worth my attention and what is worth my time? If you keep doing the same things that you've always done, you're going to have the same results. So a really easy way to kind of constantly be getting like 1% improvements is to be questioning, what are you doing? What are you spending time on? Is this worth your time? Is this let's say you want to be a billionaire, you can kind of run this through like your own framework of, is this how a billionaire would be spending this time? Is this what they would be doing? For example, they wouldn't be sitting around watching Netflix and doing reels and watching like reels all day. How would the person that I aspire to be spending their time? Really, really simple, but kind of nice framework to run your life through. Number four, always think how to 10x. If you only think small, so if you look at how can I like get a 20% improvement or even a 2x improvement, that can give you a solution like, oh, I can just work harder. Whereas instead, in business, if you need to think, how do I 10x my revenue from here, it forces you to think big, but it also forces you to apply leverage and to use systems, because it's kind of going to be the only way that you can achieve those results are through leverage, either through people, technology, capital, or through media, or through building out systems that allow you to scale. And that is how you want to be operating anyway. So just a good way to think. Number five, speaking of systems, use a system to manage your life. So I've made a lot of videos on my Notion system. You don't have to use that. You can use your own one. But I'm naturally quite disorganized anyway, to be honest, so maybe that's why it's had such a big impact for me. But I just find like the mind, or at least my mind, isn't that good at retaining information. I'm much better at like creative tasks and problem solving. But in terms of like day-to-day life management, I just find a life system, a life operating system to be so valuable, and it can be either as simple or as complex as you want it to be. Number six, do not let your past circumstances define you. So we're all dealt a certain hand in life. Some of us are dealt a better hand than others. I certainly wasn't dealt the best hand, but I definitely wasn't dealt the worst hand either. And to be honest, I had kind of my life took very different paths many times. I could have had many different excuses. I was very addicted to drugs from like 15 to 17. I ran away from home a number of times because I kind of had a lot of problems with my parents. I left school with no qualifications at all. I was adopted, and still now I have a lot of trouble with like relationships. However, you are in charge of your life, and do not let someone else or the cards that you were given dictate the outcome of your life. That is just the beginning, and it's down to you to go ahead and make something of your life. So I often get told that I should actually write a book, and if I was to write a book, the title that I would probably go with is Against All Odds. So against all chances, against everyone's expectations, I was still able to kind of walk away and achieve success when no one ever thought that I would. No one ever expected anything of me, to be honest. But don't, and in fact, on that note as well, let me add to that. Don't let your past circumstances define you, but also don't let the opinions of other people define you. Because this is such a classic story. It's such like a cliche story that every entrepreneur will say of like, oh, I was never going to be anything. I was homeless. My teacher said I was going to be a garbage man or like flipping burgers. And these are literally things that I was told. So you will find, I think, that like the greatest success is often revenge. The success is the best form of revenge. Sorry, I'm going off 2 hours sleep because I've been traveling. Number 7, learn the skills that people are worrying about. So what do we hear people worrying about now? We hear people worrying about, oh, their job is going to be replaced by AI. Well, if we know that's going to happen, why not go and learn AI and be the person that actually causes that disruption? If we know it's going to happen, why not be at the spearhead, at the forefront, leading that effort? So if we know that these like innovative areas are kind of going to be happening and people are worrying about them, why wouldn't you get exposure and experience in that specific area? So AI being the example now, but it applies to anything else. So I always find it interesting when people are worrying about their job being replaced or something being disrupted. It's often a good opportunity to go and get some experience and exposure there. If the disruption is going to happen, why not be on the right side of it? Number 8, it's never been easier to escape the system. I will also add to that, there's never been such an abundance of information that you can find online for free. Oh, they put my lights out. There's never been such an abundance of information that you can find for free online. You can listen to billionaires, you can listen to millionaires, you can listen to health experts, to absolutely anything completely for free. So we should all be taking advantage of that as much as possible, not be mindlessly scrolling through TikTok and Instagram absorbing complete nonsense. But it's never been easier to escape the system. You no longer need to give yourself to the 9 to 5 and kind of climb the social ladder. There are hundreds, if not thousands, of different options available to you of how you can find like alternative options to the 9 to 5. But again, like if you're not kind of willing to do that and put in the work, that's also absolutely fine. Because I still need someone to make the coffee. Like we still need people to keep society functioning, to wash the car of the person who is outside of the system. And again, what side of that do you want to be on? Do you want to be the person who's washing the cars, or the person who's paying someone to wash their cars? I know what side I would rather be on. Number 9, understand money. How is it made? When is it made? What is it backed by? Why do we print money? These are all questions that you should have the answer to. One of the craziest things that I find in the current world, how many people go through trading their lives, and I literally mean their lives, 60 years of their lives. We accept this narrative of you're born, you go to school, you go to college, you go to university, and if you do those things, then you can get a good job, you can work till you're 65, then you get a pension, and then when you're maybe 65, let's say that you live to 80, if you're lucky, you have 15 years of freedom, but they're the worst 15 years of your life, because you're old by that point, and you're going to have health issues and so on, but you get your weekends off, but by the time, like, you know, you work and you get your weekends, but by the time that it's the weekend, you're kind of tired anyway because you've been working all week, and you can go on one holiday per year. Why do we accept that? And why do most people accept that? And why do they trade their time, the most valuable resource any of us have, for money, which is a concept that they don't even understand? So what you should go and do, I'm not going to give you the answers, because I think that you should go and actually read this and study it for yourself. Learn about money. How is it made? Why is it made? What is the history of money? Why is money printed? What is inflation? How does it actually affect you? Just go and read a few different books on this. If you're going to trade the next 60 years of your life for earning money, these little bits of paper, you may as well understand what you are exchanging it for, and you're going to realize that you're on the wrong end of a transaction, of that transaction. But yeah, number 9, understand money. Very, very important. And again, I think there's reasons that they don't teach you this in school. Number 10, use the internet as a tool. You have the ability to connect. I've kind of touched on this already, actually. You have the ability to connect with anyone, learn anything, sell globally with 0 startup costs, and instead people are using the internet to scroll TikTok, watch porn. Use the internet. Don't let the internet use you. Quite self-explanatory, I think. Number 11, you can make a lot of mistakes when you are young. Take risks. You have nothing to lose. Again, you haven't got kids. You've not got people relying on you. That is the time to be making mistakes and taking risks. So I mentioned that when I was 15 to 17, I was a drug addict and was homeless for a period. I do think that's part of the reason that I'm kind of mature for my age, which is what I've always been told. Like, I'm 29 now, but I've been told that ever since I was like 22, that everyone thought that I was much older. And it's because I did a lot of these kind of stupid things and learned from these mistakes when I was much younger. But to be honest, I'm actually very happy that I got it out of my system when I was that age, compared to people that are still now like 25, 26, 27, like messing around doing loads of drugs. Make the mistakes when you're younger, because it doesn't have an impact on anyone else. That is the time to be doing it. It's what being young is actually all about. It's about making mistakes. And again, sounds cliche, but it is genuinely one of the best ways to learn. Most of my life turnarounds have actually come from when I hit rock bottom, sometimes multiple times over. Where was I? Number 12, the world doesn't owe you anything. Take control and ownership of your life. Don't blame the government or other people for things that you're unhappy with. Do something about it. You have to take control of your life. Nobody else will. That is some of the best advice. In fact, I should have put that as number 1. The world does not owe you anything. Don't feel sympathy for yourself. Don't feel you've been dealt a bad hand. You just take control, take ownership of the situation, and get yourself out of it. If you don't like the country that you're in, if you don't like the taxes, if you don't like the government or the decisions that they're making, do something about it. Or if you're not going to do something about it, don't complain about it and just get on with it. But I suggest you to do something about it. Take control of your situation, take control of your life. If you're not happy with things, like the reason that I first left the UK 7 or 8 years ago now, was simply because I wasn't happy with Brexit, for one thing, but actually it turned out to be a little bit better than I thought it would be. But I just didn't like the people that I was around, to be completely honest. Like, we have a massive drinking culture, and no one really like pushing, no one really that ambitious. We like to moan a lot, and I just knew that it wasn't my people, that I didn't want to be around that. So instead of moaning and kind of telling everyone that they're wrong, I knew that I was in the wrong place, so I just decided to leave. And even when I go back now, like I'm literally just on a flight out of London, so I was back with my parents for Christmas. I spent a couple of days in London, and again I'm just constantly reminded this is not the place for me. So I can tolerate it for like a few days, but just the people there and like the general life structure, it's not exciting to me. It's just not really, just not quite enough. So again, I just do something about it. I'll hop on a plane and go somewhere else. If you haven't got the luxury of being able to do that, you need to build the life where you have the ability and the options to do that. And again, like I'll talk more about this as well, and I spoke about it in another video that should be uploaded by now on how to actually take control and have freedom in your life. But yeah, the world does not owe you anything. Take control of your life. It's your responsibility. 13, do not go to university unless you are going to pursue a very specific career that requires that level of education. If your dream is to be a doctor, if your dream is to be an architect, if your dream is to be an accountant, and these are required for that specific field, for you to work in that specific field, by all means go ahead and do it. But I'm not anti-education, but I am anti the education system. So I'm very pro self-education. So I just think you get yourself into a lot of debt with kind of very little upside. I know very, very few people that have gone to university and got their degrees that felt that it truly served them well. And I think that you actually miss out on a massive head start of those 4 years that you spend studying, that you could have spent making mistakes, building businesses and making money to get a head start. Number 14, it's okay to work for someone else, especially to learn and acquire skills on your first job. So again, I think this is a massive piece of underrated advice. Now we live in a world where we just glamorize like entrepreneurship, and we shouldn't glamorize entrepreneurship so much. My first job was in recruitment, so I spent 3 years in recruitment, and I learned, when I first went there, I was so shy. I remember having to do my first sales call, and I was so shy. But I was kind of forced to do it to get out of my comfort zone, and it was great. I learned how to work with other people. I had a team leader. I learned some marketing. I learned sales. I learned a lot about communication and about management, how a business actually works, because that was my first ever job. I had a brilliant boss named Steve, who somewhat unethical, but he was a brilliant salesman. There's no doubt about that. And now we just glamorize entrepreneurship so much that you should go and start a business straight away. But I would say if there's an opportunity for you to go and learn from someone, and you're going to get paid a salary to do that, it's not something to be sniffed at, and shouldn't be looked down upon at all, especially if you're using that job in order to acquire skills. I actually think it's a really smart move to make. You don't need to go straight into entrepreneurship. You can always just run a little side hustle, which is actually how I did things as well. So I had a full-time job, and the way that my first business started is it was a side hustle that I would work my full-time job from 8:30 a.m. till 6 p.m. And then from 6 p.m. till about 2 in the morning, I used to sleep in the car park. This is no joke at all. I had a camper van. So I would shower at the gym and I would sleep in the car park from 6 p.m. till about 2 to 3 a.m. in the morning. I would work on my Instagram marketing agency, because we worked in the US, on targeting the US, but I was on the UK. So those hours allowed me to target the US time zone. So yeah, it's okay to work for someone else. Don't think that you have to start a business straight away. Like, for example, I get a lot of people reaching out to me, even offering to work for free, just to kind of to basically learn things. And I do think it's actually quite a smart thing for them to do. Not that it needs to be like with me, just with anyone that you feel that you can learn from and get paid from. It's a really good thing to do. Number 15, understand leverage, compounding, and automation. These are superpowers in business and life. Again, I won't go too much further into them, but from automation, you're looking at a very, very strong person in automation. I've got tons of videos on it. There's also another guy who makes some other videos. I've forgotten his name though, his last name. His first name is Jack. I think it was Jack anyway. Blonde guy, and you can just search his, he's got loads of videos out on automation, and he's much more consistent at YouTube publishing than I am. He has a school community as well, so you could go and look at that. For compounding, just go and watch some videos on YouTube, understand compounding, and then for leverage, go and watch Naval Ravikant on leverage. It's one of the best videos that you can watch. Watch it multiple times to really understand it. I go back to it a lot to remind myself of those principles. Number 16, figure out what's important for you and rewrite this list yearly. Why would you do this? Why would you not do this? I think so many people are just going through life with no real direction and literally just letting life happen to them. At the very least, you should understand what it is that is important to you and what you want to be focusing on. Otherwise, if you don't know what direction you're going in, how are you ever going to achieve what you want to achieve? You don't even know what you want to achieve. So spend some time to understand what things are important to you. I do find that this changes, by the way, not perhaps every year, but definitely every couple of years. The things that are important to me and the things that I want to focus on do change. So I like to make sure that I kind of stay on top of them. I do a yearly review in Notion, and again, there should be a video on that already on my YouTube channel, along with a template as well. It's a couple of days exercise, but it is it's well worth it. Number 18, every day reflect on your objectives. So again, you've worked out what's important to you. Now every single day reflect on how the day went and how it went in your pursuit towards your goals. It should be a very, very quick exercise, but it just helps to kind of keep you online and make sure that you're on the right path. Sorry, I missed out 17. Live out of a suitcase for an extended duration of time. This is a really interesting one that I've just basically been doing recently, actually, but I would encourage people to do it. So living out of a suitcase, what I mean by that is basically traveling out of a suitcase. Basically, it forces you to you're only able to travel with the essentials. Right, you can't travel with all of your possessions. And basically what happens when you do that is you actually realize most things aren't essentials and aren't necessary, because like you don't miss them or you don't really think about them. So yeah, I would just encourage, and when I say for an extended period of time, I think 6 months to a year is quite a good amount of time to do. You don't need to be in one location. You can go and kind of travel around, but live out of a suitcase for an extended duration of time. Now we've done 18, so 19. Use money to gain freedom, not acquire possessions. The freedom to spend the time exactly how you want, where you are not made to do anything you don't want, where you can say no to anything. So yeah, use money to gain freedom, not acquire possessions. Of course, once you have a lot of money, then if you want to start acquiring possessions, you can do, but I find that far more happiness comes from having freedom in life. Financial freedom, I've spoken about this loads of times, but financial freedom, location freedom, and time freedom is where most happiness comes from. For me, it's not in the acquisition of material possessions. That is what I found. It may be different for you, but most people that I speak to end up coming to like a kind of similar conclusion that I did. Number 20, you will do your best work when you are in a good state of mind. It should be a key focus for any entrepreneur. Better mood equals better decisions. If you aren't feeling good on a particular day, your number one priority should be changing your state before proceeding with work. Again, I think that is particularly if you're operating on like a higher level, and the kind of decisions as in you have money, you have things to lose, you have a business, you should be heavily focused on making sure that you maintain a clear and healthy frame of mind in order to make the best quality decisions. Number 21, and this is the final one, make/produce something as your number one priority each day. So I wouldn't have always thought this, but I am quite creative, and again, a lot of satisfaction I get out of building things, out of creating things. When I say building things, it can be a bot, it can be a script, it could be a landing page, it could be an automation, it could be like literally anything, but basically it could be a video, but basically to create something. And so I try every single day to create one thing. So it can be a little improvement, it could be an SOP, it could be an automation that works in my business. And when you execute on this daily over the period of a year, and when I say create something, it could take me 15 minutes, it could take me an hour, it could take me 3 to 4 hours. I try to keep them smaller than that, normally 45 minutes to an hour, to make sure that I can actually get it done in a day, and then I can go ahead and move on to my other tasks. But I like to, basically any day where I create something, I consider to be a success. So again, it can be a video, it can be an automation, it can be they're basically what it tends to be, automation and bots, and then videos as well. And I also try to understand my frame of mind on a particular day, going back to point number 20 of, am I feeling creative? Am I feeling like because if I'm going to make a video, I need to feel like talking. I also need to have a block of time in my day. Like right now I'm sitting on this plane and it's great because I've got absolutely nothing better to do than just sit here talking into this microphone, because I'm traveling for 22 hours. So I've just got a bunch of time and I can just record a load of videos. And so I just decided to do this. So understanding, am I in the frame of mind to build something? Do I have the ability to concentrate right now? Am I feeling good enough to focus and go and write a bot and write a script? So not kind of forcing myself, basically understanding my frame of mind and looking to create something that is in line with how I'm feeling on that particular day. So if I'm feeling very motivated, I may go and knock out a really big project and literally spend 8 hours coding, and I'll be very happy if I do that. But I'll also be equally happy if I just spend 20 minutes building a little script that solves a little problem, but that's going to keep on working for me forever. So those are 21, I guess, kind of tips, pieces of advice, wisdom, whatever you want to call it, for success, for happiness, for living a good life, things that are working well for me, and I hope they work well for you as well.